Good evening and welcome to the City of Sunbury Council meeting. We're in the City of Sunbury, Ohio, July 19th, 2023, 7:30 p.m. Would you please join me for a moment of silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance?
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right, roll call, please.
Mayor St. John.
Here.
Mr. Cap. Here. Mr. Goss, absent. Mr. Neff.
Here.
Mr. Grumney.
Here.
Mrs. Cooper.
Here.
And Mr. Martin, absent. We have 5 present. We have a quorum.
All right, great. We had a meeting on July 5th, 2023. The meeting minutes are in your packet and ready for approval.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion by Councilwoman Cooper to approve.
Second
by Mr. Capel. Discussion?
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
Mayor St. John.
Yes.
Mr. Neff.
Yes.
Mr. Grumney.
Yes.
5 yeas. Motion approved.
All right, we're getting right through this committee reports. Excuse me, visitors. Do we have any unscheduled visitors? Our scheduled visitor will be coming at a future meeting.
Yeah, it must be. I apologize for that.
No worries at all. All right, we are on the committee reports. Any committee reports on this side of the table?
Just like to say thank you. The very comprehensive summary of our financial positioning, and thank you very much, Dana, for your presentation. So very good.
Anything on the left side of the table?
Nothing here. We'll have a zoning meeting, I assume, on Monday. Are we having a zoning? meeting?
We will. It's not a big agenda, but we will. We'll have the school board lot split and some other administrative matters. And we'll also provide an update on a zoning ordinance amendment that we'd like to introduce
So next meeting, I'll have a committee report.
at the next
Okay,
meeting.
great. Thank you. All right, we're on to the police report. Do the police have anything they'd like to report this evening? Okay, I can go through this really quickly. About 30 days into the drone program.
Yes.
And
About a third of the way through their training.
trucks are going to be upfitted.
Correct.
They were in the parade and you can see them around town. Looking great. Any questions for the police?
I have one question. I don't know if it's a question, suggestion, or if it's possible, but these reports are great. And one thing I think that I guess in general in the world, the country, but the mental health crisis that we have going on, I didn't know if it would be beneficial when we have calls for service, if we would break out and make specifically a category for mental health or suicide attempt calls, just to give an indication on how where the city stands with those types of calls, to see if it's a growing issue or a manageable issue, or because of just the severity of it and how it seems to be more of a focus. If there's, I don't know if there's enough of those to make it a subcategory or not, but just a thought.
Deputy, can you turn that on? I don't think the mic's on. Thanks.
Yes, I'll get with the county on the Tyler system. I do believe that there is an area we could probably break that down and get it to you pretty easily.
Okay.
It is something that is on the increase, specifically to Sunbury. It's been pretty flat.
Yeah.
There's been some spikes at times that comes and goes with the seasons and different things that happen. So
Right.
yes, we can get you that information, and we are actually meeting with the Delaware County Mental Health has taken on Officer Hatcher from Delaware City, who retired. And
Okay.
he's actually Casey Newsom, our probation officer, has reached out to him. We'll be meeting here in a couple of weeks to go over resources for individuals specifically in the county for mental health.
That's awesome. Thank you. Because
Yeah.
there's still just a stigma or taboo with mental health. And I think the more focus we can put on it and just highlight, that's an issue or something that should be addressed, I think we'll just keep it in our eyes as far as in our mind, as far as if it's spiking, I don't know what the city can do other than maybe offer resources, point people in the right direction, whether it's on our website or, maybe we have someone come in from, and provide some information, what have you, but thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Council would like that, I'm sure I can make those arrangements. There is Delaware County is very fortunate. Delaware and Morrow County area is a combined effort with a lot of mental health resources that are available here. Full-time, in-house, a lot of resources.
Perfect. Okay.
John, there's a Delaware County Suicide Prevention Coalition as well,
Okay.
and they're looking to increase their presence in Sunbury. So I can talk to you offline about that if you have any interest in learning more about that or possibly sitting on the commission. The PD reached out to me and so I sit on it. Our chamber director sits on it. Megan Truex from the school sits
Yeah.
on it. So I'd be happy to share some information with you too.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions for the police? Thank you, sir. All right, we are on to the administrator's report. Mr. Hennessy.
All right, so a couple of items to highlight. One is we talked a little bit about the facilities renovation project at the last meeting. Following feedback from our architect, we have decided to reopen the bids on that process. So those were reopened on Saturday. The bidding process will run through August 18th, and at that point, we'll open the bids. So we're, again, confident that we've got some general contractors that with a little bit more time feel like they're going to be able to respond to that bid opening. Next, the Sunbury Parkway District Plan. Did just want to note that we have completed the 2 open houses with the MS Consultants. I've included in the packet for you the presentation materials that they used at those 2 open houses. Just maybe a couple of points to highlight on packet page 10. It identifies, there was a slide on the market analysis that has been done as a part of this study. And it's indicated these key sectors where there's an unmet demand in Sunbury and where there also may be an unmet demand in the county. So these might or do represent maybe the best opportunities for new investment along the parkway. So as we think about what the future uses of the parkway might be, these may be target sectors for us to be thinking a little bit about. And the other thing I was going to point out is that we did as part of the work with MS Consultants, they are doing an online survey. A lot of people have taken it. In fact, as of last night, we had over 450 people who have taken the survey, and at least in the first 400 of the first 400, 70% of those were city residents. So that's fantastic. We're definitely hearing back from the residents in terms of what they want to see along the parkway. So the steering committee will be getting back together here relatively soon, hear back from the consultant in terms of next steps. And then 2 other things quickly. I have included in the packet the zoning packet or the zoning permit report that's provided the Planning and Zoning Commission. We talked a little bit about that at the last meeting, so that's in there as a supplemental document. And we have scheduled the Sunbury Estates tree meetings with the residents. There'll be an in-person meeting next Tuesday, July 25th at 6 p.m. here in Town Hall. And then we'll do a virtual meeting. Hope I didn't write that one down. The virtual meeting's on August 3rd from 6 to 7:30 p.m. There's a QR code for residents to scan to get in. There's also a way to, we've distributed to every doorstep a document regarding the meeting. So there's a way for them to access that too. So the final thing is, before I turn it over to the engineer, there was a request for updates regarding the city street program. And I know some council members are interested in what's happening over near the Big Walnut Intermediate School. So Dan has information on that. So unless anybody's got questions for me.
Can you repeat the dates for that Sunbury Estates trees?
Yes. So the first one, the in-person meeting is July 25th. So right here at Town Hall, 6 to 8 p.m. And then the online meeting is August 3rd, which I guess is I think that's a Thursday. Actually, we've got that as a 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. meeting.
Okay, thank you.
I wanted to mention, I attended the Sunbury Parkway District the virtual session. What was that, last night, 2 nights ago? that was really good material. I thought MS did a really good job running. There wasn't many people on it, maybe 20, 30.
Yeah, I should have said, yeah, we had about 25 attend the virtual meeting last night and over 30 attended the in-person meeting here. So
And we have 400 plus survey responses. That's great.
Right.
I thought it was really well run. I really liked the format of the meeting and where you were able to choose different options, and you could see how the voting was taking place. Kind of reminded me of Damon's back in the day playing the TV trivia. It's pretty fun. But it was very productive and positive, and the feedback that even was coming out was just like, please do this responsibly. Thank you for looking at this now. It was good. Dan?
So I will say, related to the street program, we do have a couple of documents in your packet. So Dan, why don't you start with that one? So on packet page 20, we have a list of the streets that will be a part of this year's program. And then we have a map on packet page 21, shows you where they are. So.
Handing it over to me. You're messing me up though. I'm an engineer. I like to go in order. So my order now. I'll start with the street program and then I'll go into the other things. I'll focus on Magnolia Park as well. The street program, we have our pre-construction conference on Friday. Do not know their schedule yet. Haven't seen that. I'm not sure if DLZ has or not. The list of streets in the street program this year are on that in your packet on that summary sheet. A lot of animal names in there, and most of the work is a Cape Seal. Cape Seal is more of a pavement preservation application. It's also a repair, but it's suited well for pavement that is in relatively fair condition, so it preserves it for a longer period of time and is very good use of your money. Particularly Strausser, our contractor, is very good at this pavement preservation type of work. Cape Seal is they put down a chip seal, which kind of gives it the beef and emulsion and chemicals and some chips that give it the structural stability. And then they'll put the microsurfacing over top of that, which does it some additional structural stability, but they're also able to smooth that out so it looks like a regular pavement, not like a chip seal type of application. There are some additional things that we're having done on Evening Street, Letts Avenue, Miller Drive, etc. I did skip. We had Vernon Street as a alternate in the program. I presume we won't be doing that as a result because of the issues that are going on over in that area.
Yeah, so maybe before you move on, so there's a pretty significant improvement being done on South Miller Drive. So that will be, it's written on here as plain and overlay, but you may know it as mill and fill. So that's going to be happening in front of GRE. So we'll be particularly conscious of how that impacts the school schedule. And then Walnut Street, I think we've got sort of some intermittent repair on that street, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
We've got some Cape Seal and some pavement repair and spots. And you're right, Miller Drive, I should have mentioned, there is a significant amount of work there with some fixing some of the curbs, a lot of striping, some relief joints, some fixing of those bump joints that we have to get those smoothed out and stable. So there's a good bit of work on the entire length of Miller Drive, which we should mention in the pre-con they need to get to
Right.
first, so that it, in the event they don't get done by the time school opens, they'll have that out of the way.
And maybe as a reminder for the group, the bid did come in lower than the estimated costs. Can't remember the exact numbers, $75,000, $90,000, something like that below the amount budgeted for that. So there are a few other minor repairs we'll be looking at to address at the same time. So, yeah.
Thank you.
So back to my report in its order. The Fallen Heroes Trail is it's virtually complete. There's some striping, some signs to erect, but it's in use. In fact, I saw 4 or 5 people on it on my way over here today. That's very far along. The Reservoir Park project and the Drawdown project are proceeding in design. Sorry, I lost my place here. We had a kickoff meeting for the Walnut Street project. Really, it was just an opportunity to meet our project manager from the state and to go over, the logistics of getting the project done, not so much the details of it. We'll get into that in the coming months. Walnut Creek is still is in design and planning. All of these traffic items, with 4 or 5 of those, Bob Keatley is diligently working at these individual items, including, he submitted the Safe Streets for All grant last week. We went over the street improvements. The ravines, they are anxious to start construction on phase 1 and 2 of the ravines. I think they'll do that probably August, maybe September. They'll get started on that. They're getting their ducks in a row. That's just on the north section. It doesn't go down south where we're having that alignment concern currently. The apartment complex, Romanelli's apartment complex, we've only gone through 1 plan review on that, so it's still in process. Magnolia Park. I know there's a lot of concern about Fairland and Weatherby Lane. They've got Pulte has the utilities 100% complete for both roads. So they've got the sewer in, the storm sewer in, and that sort of thing. Fairland Drive, there'll be staking and stringing for the curbing that goes in probably Monday. So they'll be able to, once they get that curb in, they'll be able to go ahead and proceed with paving. They're slated to have that done August 4th is their plan, weather permitting, and there happens to be another issue of concern that I need to address with a fiber optic pull boxes in the pavement, but I think we can get through that and not have it be another hold up. Just out of interest, at least it interests me, the reason that Fairland took so long was they had unstable soils, or they're pumped a lot. They weren't able to support the pavement. So they had to put down several inches. Let's see what they put down. What I tell you, Daryl, they put down like 12 inches of lime, which stabilizes the soil, and then over top of that they put some roller compacted concrete, about 1 foot of it as well. So there's a significant extra work that went into getting that done. It does take a good bit of time, but it'll yield a higher quality project and still get done prior to school starting. And once they get the curbs done, the asphalt in, it technically can be opened. I would prefer to wait until we have signage and striping and that sort of stuff up, but we could still use it as access to the schools during that period of time. Just carefully, at least get the signage in.
Currently on August 4th. What did you say on Weatherby?
The same. They're both right on the same time frame, because they'll within a few days, as soon as they get done with Fairland, they'll move over to Weatherby.
Teachers come back at, I want to say the 13th.
Okay. School starts 17th, 14th, 17th.
And on the 15th. That's
15th,
that's
okay.
orientation.
Okay.
That's for students, but yeah, teachers are probably back a few days before that. Do you happen to know that, Mary? You can find out though.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
I think I misspoke. I think I said that pull box is on Fairland. It's actually on Weatherby Lane. And that is a critical path item. Obviously, they need to get that repaired before they proceed with any additional paving out there. So that is Magnolia Park. I'm happy to answer any additional questions on that. As far as the others,
There's rain anytime between now and
you like tomorrow. Kinder Crossing and the ASCO development, that commercial development, are both on hold currently for a variety of reasons. Eagle Creek, I haven't heard from them recently. And we only had 4 Columbia Gas permits this month, which is very unusual for the last 2 weeks. One other thing for Magnolia Park, the school district needs to sign the plat for the transfer of that Fairland Drive to, from the school district to us, to the city. Matt Callahan's is working on that. I think they're having a few discussions regarding it, but that needs to happen soon as well before we accept those improvements. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for our engineer? He's a busy guy. Thanks, Dan. Good update. All right, we are on to resolutions, none. Ordinances, third reading. Ordinance number 2023.15. An ordinance providing for the issuance and sale of bonds in the maximum principal amount of 4 million for the purpose of paying the cost of improving various facilities by renovating. Am I doing a third reading or are we tabling this?
Well, when we last spoke to bond council, they basically said just continue to follow our schedule. So I mean, if we could pass it this evening, I don't know that it's critical because we don't have the bids in yet. If you wanted to hold it for another meeting, we could do that.
They did say that we would not move forward unless we had a project.
Right.
So I think passing it to the extent
Yeah, we
nothing
could.
ever happens, doesn't hurt any.
Okay,
We just wouldn't use it.
so ordinance could be in place and just,
Hopefully we get a good bid.
okay, I'm gonna start where I left off. For the purpose of paying the cost of improving various city facilities by renovating and equipping the Sunbury Municipal Building and other buildings, including site improvements and necessary utility improvements, and constructing related parking facilities together with all necessary purchases. That is the hardest word to say. There too. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
We got a motion by Mr. Grumby,
Second.
second by Mr. Capel. Discussion? Discussions on the word purchases?
I think you're leaving out a syllable.
I think I am. too. I think I added one last time.
To tape it. I think 3 mayors I've known, none of you guys have pronounced. Everybody had their pronunciation.
Stop using that word.
I was looking for that word in an ordinance to
I
begin
don't
with.
even know what's right, honestly.
I refuse to research how to say it. All
Wing it every time.
right, we've got a motion and second. Roll call.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Neff.
Yes.
5 yeas, motion approved.
All right. Second reading ordinance number 2023.0101, first amended, an ordinance amending the 2023 annual appropriations. I think we're going to go to 3 readings on that, if you're okay with that, Mrs. Steffen. All right. Ordinance number 2023.16, this is a second reading. An ordinance accepting a petition for annexation of territory consisting of 84.97 plus or minus acres of land located in Berkshire Township, Delaware County, and owned by William R. Rogers II, Lori Lynn Lutz Gazelle, Rich Rogers, trustee replacing William Rogers, and Patricia Rogers, both deceased and former trustees of the William Rogers and Patricia Rogers Family Trust Agreement UTA 7306. Mary Rogers Trussler, trustee, UA, dated the 14th day of August 2009, and John A. Rogers declaring an emergency. We're going to let that go for the next one. I just need to take a break for a second. That was quite the title search right there, wasn't it? All right, we also have ordinance number 2023.17. An ordinance accepting a petition for annexation of territory consisting of 84.932 plus or minus acres of land located in Berkshire Township, Delaware County, and owned by AEP Ohio Transmission Company, Inc., and declaring an emergency. We have no first readings, and I believe we're on to new and unfinished business. We're going to go, so we're clear. Pardon me? We're going to go to new and unfinished business, wastewater treatment plant purchase order. Electric.
So on packet page 49, there's a request in here to approve a purchase order to do some electrical improvements to the wastewater treatment plant. This started out as improvements that needed to be done that were identified by the fire department or the fire district when it did an inspection of the property. But it also then includes some additional light upgrades in the main garage there as well. So from fluorescent lighting to LED lighting. So just asking if council would support that.
I would support that. I'll make a motion.
A second.
Second by Councilwoman Cooper. Discussion. Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
5 yeas, motion approved.
All right, we are on to Sunbury ordinances recodification. We did have a chance to talk about this in the finance committee meeting. Mr. Breen, we did have a couple questions for you, and this may, if you don't have the answers, we may pause until the next meeting, but I think we're all on board with moving forward with this approach. We just wanted to make sure that what is in scope. So zoning ordinances, would those be included?
I do not know. Daryl actually briefed me on that prior to the meeting. I've sent an email to the representative from them to ask him if it would be, and if not, if it could be added to the scope. So we'll let you know.
That'd be great if we could.
I gave him the specific example. I think you mentioned fences. There's about 2107 that's got 3 line items about barbed wire, razor wire, and I can remember from back in the day. When that was enacted, it was a while ago.
Right.
And then we've done some stuff. So, you know, we'll say I'm going to guess it probably isn't, but I'm also thinking that we could add it. You know, but as far as the core work that they need to do, you know, they've told me we are past due. It's been a while since we did it, and we had a switch from our codifier. We were with Walter Drain for a long time, as long as I think we've been codified. And I don't know if they sold out from American Legal Publishing or what prompted that transition, but this is a newer outfit, and that and going to city status, I think, you know, everything's merging where it's really a good time to do it.
I think the BZA and the Planning and Zoning Commission will very much appreciate it. Thank you. All right. So we're gonna hold on that one, wait until the next meeting. We should have answers by that point. I'm gonna skip over the economic development discussion here for a moment. Facts and fiction about property reevaluations to your taxes information only. The last, I believe, 6 pages of your packet, I had asked Daryl late in the day to add to your packet. This is also available online on the auditor's website. It's also been shared a few times on Facebook and different social media. I think this document does about as good of a job explaining the triennial real estate valuation process or reevaluation process and how it impacts individuals. There's still a lot of technical jargon in here, but I think it'll give you a framework to, I don't want to speak for the auditor, but more or less, if property values go up by 35%, that doesn't necessarily mean that your real estate taxes go up by 35%. I think this has some key information in here that explains why that is. You know, the one asterisk I would say is Big Walnut and a couple other school districts in the county are structured differently based on minimum floor millage. I'm not an expert on this. That may need some deeper dive analysis into your own personal situation. And this is for everybody that's listening online as well. But the gist of it is the county is seeing on average, I think, around a 35% increase in 3-year values. And Sunbury, in my opinion, may even be higher than that on average, but it's fairly relative compared to other counties in the state. Any questions or comments there? All right, let's go around the horn for new and unfinished business. Mr. Grumney.
I have nothing. Thank you.
Mr. Capel.
Nothing here.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yeah, a few things I wanted to share. This was shared on the Sunbury's Facebook page that Preservation Parks had a ribbon cutting for the bridge over Big Walnut Creek near Walnut Street. For the Ohio to Erie Trail. If you get a chance, go back there. If that's like connected to my neighborhood. So Nancy and I walked back there and holy cow, is it pretty. The bridge is pretty. You walk out on the bridge, it has two like lookouts and then you can look out over. It's really, they did a great job. So go out there if you can.
You know, CT designed that.
Great job. It's beautiful.
Good.
And kudos to the family and the individual who made that possible.
Yeah.
Dr. Lester Moeller, I'm a member of this community. He purchased that back when I'm not sure many other people were raising their hand. Kept that open all these years to the public, which is a big deal. You know, a lot of people would not have something like that on their property and say, with a sign, come on, just respect it. Then he made, arrangements to make sure it was transferred, instrumental in that. Same guy who did Johnny Appleseed on the square. So, there's some people that really contribute to a community and he's one of them. So.
Spot on.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling that out, Dave.
There's also another fishing derby this Saturday. I think it may be our last one this summer. So if you haven't taken your kids there yet, Saturday might be a good time. I wanted to also just share quickly that I attended an event last week called Obie's Breakfast Club. And it was with Obie Stillwell, OSU football player a while ago. And they had it was called Understanding the Vision of Intel panel with multiple mayors and other folks. And it was quite interesting. They said Intel will generate about 3,000 jobs, 700 construction workers. They talked about water sources, density, housing, planning, all that stuff. But one of my main takeaways I took away, and it wasn't necessarily for the city, but I'm going to share it anyway, was they really talked a lot about erasing the stigma of going to a trade school. And Obie specifically talked about the level of intelligence you need to be able to be a construction worker. And they really are pushing for a new movement of getting kids in trade schools. And so they're hoping to get, they would like to get into schools in the 8th grade level and teach them at 8th grade all of their options. And it was a very interesting meeting. And my last thing is I also met with Mayor Riggle, the Delaware mayor, over the last week. I want to thank her for her time because she was in the middle of a lot and she took the time to meet with me. And we talked about a lot. We specifically talked about how Delaware did their 4th of July parade and their other parades. And we talked about their events committee. And then we also just talked about being women in public service. And it was a joy to meet her. So thank you to Mayor Riggle. Yeah, that's it.
2 things. Well, I just got a text from Principal Sandra. The staff is back on the 14th. So she's back Tuesday. So how she's gonna get there,
I mean,
but
if they can get there now. You're just driving on a gravel road. We're talking about school buses and
the 14th.
I mean, they're having
Dirty
football
car.
camps back there right now and
Right.
baseball games and things, but school is a different animal, especially people who are transitioning to a new school. Every kid's mom's or dad is gonna be dropping them off the front door.
Then also, I still, the good feedback from the 4th continues to pour in. As far as the residents saying how awesome it was, the small town feel. And I was thinking about it, processing thing, and a huge shout out to the police department for keeping people off of the road, which was a big thing. Safety was one of the things that we had talked about a lot. Mainly at this intersection when it kind of bottlenecked down this year, they kept everyone back. So it was a lot safer as far as I thought. And a huge shout out to Officer Wilson.
Rob Wilson?
Yeah.
Yep.
So my son was walking out of UDF the other day, just surprise hug, huge hug to him as soon as he saw him, although he did grab his gun side to give him a hug, which made him a little nervous. But yeah, so I was just kind of thinking that was great to see and just the outpouring of support from the young kids to our law enforcement. So
And just so we're clear, he does not know Rob Wilson.
not at
He
all.
just knows he's a Sunbury police officer, which is awesome.
And went up to give him a huge hug. I did kind of tell him, let's stay away from the gun side. Yeah, so thank you.
Murray, you jokes on mine. I did have one resident approach me. I don't know. They talked about parking around the square during the event and people coming out in the street when the parade's coming because the cars are parked there. And so the question was, is there a way for that particular day to not have parking on the square? I don't know, because they said people were to get out and see the parade. They're coming out past the cars.
I heard something that was different this year was on this side of the square. In previous years, we had little grandstands and that announcer table was like where the cars are supposed to be. I don't remember there being cars all up and down like where we park out here for city council. This year there were
Yeah.
from the very beginning. So I assume they're vendors, maybe.
Maybe. So that was just one piece of feedback I received was, is there a way to clear the square of parking?
So I think the whole square is going to be probably hard.
Yeah.
And what do you guys think?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that was a topic that came up when we did a debrief on it. So we're gonna look into kind of, what to do there. Maybe the portions of the square where the parade passes.
Yeah.
But again, the committee, I think we're gonna form a working group. But like I said, a larger group, including public safety, law officers, the civic association, city staff, Councilwoman Cooper. We heard kind of concerns raised from each of those groups. And whatever was sort of being discussed publicly. So like I said, it's on our list. We'll address it. I don't know how, but we'll do something. We'll look into it for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for bringing that up, John.
Yeah, sure.
I feel like I had one more thing. Was there an update on Pigtail Alley? I know that you've been communicating with the residents, correct?
Yeah. I have a meeting with Mr. Adams on Friday
Perfect.
at noon,
Thank
and maybe the neighbor. Not sure if the neighbor's going to be there or not, but
Okay, great. Thank you for following up on that. All right, we do have reason to enter into an executive session this evening for purposes of economic development pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 121.22 G8 to consider confidential information related to the marketing plans, specific business strategy, production techniques, trade secrets, or personal financial statements of an applicant for economic development assistance or to negotiate with other political subdivisions respecting requests for economic development assistance. The executive session is necessary to protect the interest of the applicant or the possible investment or expenditure of public funds to be made in connection with the economic development project. And I guess that's a motion first.
Mhm.
Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Neff. The discussion I did want to have is we will need Mr. Hennessy, Mr. Breen. I think we'd also like Mr. Whited here, if you're okay with that, Mr. Hennessy. Sure. And we will not be taking action when we come out of executive session.
and maybe the finance director as well.
Please.
Stay.
Right.
All right.
We have a motion in a second? Yes. Discussion,
we do.
roll call.
Yep. Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
5 yeas, a unanimous.
We'll take maybe a 6-minute recess, reconvene at 8:15 if that's okay. Right, we've got to get out of here.